you don't mind, please stay. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Sing with the harmony of liberty. Of rejoicing, rise, high as the misty sky. Let it resound, loud as the rolling sea. Everybody ought to sing a song, put up the faith and the darkness is gone. Sing a song, put up the hope that the present has brought. Facing the rising sun of our Juneteeth dawn. Let us march on victory. One and all. Let us march on to victory. March on to victory in the one.
Hello, I'm Mayor Armando Pavoni. I'm happy once again to proclaim June 19th as Juneteenth this year. Please join me in this virtual celebration. Next, I will read the proclamation. Whereas we acknowledge the notice of freedom given to the slaves of the state of Texas on June 19, 1865, and whereas we give honor and respect on this day to the suffering of our ancestors, and we acknowledge the evils of slavery and its aftermath, and whereas on this celebration we think about the moment in 1888 when 300 black men from Virginia, North Carolina, and Kentucky were determined to escape terrorism of post-Civil War South as they boarded trains for the Washington Territory and settled in King County mining camps. And whereas the story of outspokenness of James Shepperson, an educated black man who settled in Roslyn, Washington in 1888, inspired many other blacks to flee the South at great risk and pursue new opportunities in Washington state as miners. And whereas we acknowledge African American freedom, contributions, and achievements within this community, past and present, and whereas during this Juneteenth event, we celebrate the African American experience and celebrate the inclusion of all races, ethnicities, and nationalities. And whereas we commit to working together towards equity for all in expanding economic, educational, and career opportunities for all in our community. Now, therefore, I, Armando Pavoni, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2020 to be Juneteenth 2020. In the City of Renton, I encourage all citizens to join me in this celebration.
Juneteenth is really a shortened version for June 19th. June 19th has a lot of significance in the African American community, and as a small girl, I grew up with annual Juneteenth celebrations where people in the whole community would come together and bring food, and there would be games and storytelling, and most of all, just educating each other about our history and why Juneteenth was important. In 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in this country, which freed all of the people of African descent who had previously been enslaved. However, in the sterling state of Texas, The people of African descent were not freed there actually until June 19th, 1865, more than 2 years later, because we really don't know because for a lot of different reasons. But that really became the date that resonated with the last people who were enslaved in this country were set free. And it wasn't until the Union Army marched into Texas and disseminated that news. So it was a day of celebration, kind of like an Independence Day. One of the interesting things about Renton Juneteenth is that it is a partnership between the Renton African American Pastoral Group, or as they call themselves RAP, the acronym RAAP, and the Renton Police Department and the City of Renton. So all three have been partners in providing a lot of opportunities to bring the community together, to bring youth together, to bring adults together in dialogue, to talk about how we truly and authentically bridge relationships between the African American community and the Renton Police Department specifically, but the Renton Police Department and the broader Renton community in general. One of the ways that we truly make Renton an inclusive city and one in which everyone feels valued and respected is if we really begin to share and invite each other to our cultural celebrations and events so that we have a more of a unified community where we acknowledge and understand and learn more about each other and learn and have fun.
I am black. I am black. You can quote me on that. I am unapologetically black. Not African American, Negro, nigger, none of that. I am black. Stolen from the sand 400 plus years ago in Africa's land. I stand here still not free. But my blackness, they can't take that away from me. Enslaved, beaten, and engraved with this hatred of self. So wrapped up in what they say I am and who I should be that they want me to hate. They want me to hate me. And those who share the different shades of this glorious ebony. But how can I hate who I am? I am a descendant of Abraham. I'm as black as the night, but as beautiful as the sun rising over the horizon. And I'm proud to be the descendant of kings and queens, of house and field slaves, of civil rights workers and fighters, of mothers and fathers, sons and daughters. I am black. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. I've broken the chains, thrown away from me the shackles, lifted my head and decided to stand. I will no longer bow and be a slave to the man. I've taken all the beatings, lynchings, and killings that I can endure. I've sat down that I may one day stand. Closed my eyes to the injustices and discrimination shown to me by the man. I will no longer give in to the wrath of their hands. I've shed so many tears and cried so many nights that our children would be able to see through the darkness that has already condemned our lives. We shouldn't let our offspring come into this life without knowing they are able to live their dreams. We've come such a long way, but we've yet to see the day that our ancestors fought so profusely for. The day when color, race, or sex didn't matter anymore. But I say this to you. I thank God for allowing us to come this far.
Come on now.
Making our way from cotton to caviar.
Hey!
And before I be a slave,
Yeah.
I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Thank you, guys.
Juneteenth is an opportunity for us to really educate ourselves, but not necessarily educating us as African American, but educating the general public about the history of slave and about the history of this country in terms of violence against black and brown bodies. And so what Juneteenth does for us is to empower us with knowledge. And by being empowered with knowledge, we're able to look at people differently. This is our third year of bringing people together, talking about our history, empowering our young people to be involved in the community. Our Juneteenth emblems have been developed by the young people in our community. So it's really a way for them to get rooted in the history of us as a people so that we can continue to move forward. When one does not know their history, and even as a people, if we don't know other people's history, we're bound to repeat the same old things over and over again. When people know better, I think they do better. And so when people learn the history of the pain and suffering that we've endured, it awakens their consciousness to rise and to see us as one of them, but also to help to bring about solution in our community. So I think Juneteenth has been very enlightening for us. We've had amazing speakers that have shared history, like Dr. Maxine Mim, who is really a foundational root in the King County area. And I think our mayor and our city officials who've walked alongside of us, who have helped to support the program, who've bought into it, really makes a difference in terms of us moving forward in a way that brings about healing and wholeness in our community.
I came from Carthage, Texas, on the back seat of a Continental Trailways bus 53 years ago. It was Carthage, Texas, 2,500 miles away from Seattle, Washington. I was not allowed to use the restroom on the bus, so we were on the bus for 3 days and 2 nights. I had to hold myself until we got to a bus depot. And then we get to the bus depots, and they wouldn't let me use the toilet. I was the only African American on that bus. I had to go to the outhouse in the back. We've come a long way, people. My brothers and sisters, we've come a long way.